Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm here with Johnny Kampis, and he's the author of this new book, Vegas or Bust. So, I actually met you last year, right?
Right. Well, it was two summers ago.
Oh, that's 2 summers ago?
For the book. Time flies, right?
Yeah. So that's 2 years ago, and so we're in the thick of the WSOP time right now. How's your trip been going?
Pretty good. I've only been here a couple days. As far as playing, I'm kind of doing promotional work and playing a little poker. I chopped the horse tournament at Orleans last night.
Cool.
So.
Congrats.
Pretty small roll in there, but a couple thousand. So I played the bounty today at the WSOP and couldn't really catch a hand. I tell you, the people really go after your bounty pretty hard. I learned pretty quickly. Yeah, I got it in pretty good as flop a 6-8 deuce, 2 hearts, had a king jack of hearts, and it's folded to me, and I shoved my little nub what I had left in there, and guy re-raised me with a 7-9 of clubs, and of course he spiked that 10 on me. So
sorry to hear that.
yeah, that's poker. Right?
Yep. But yeah, we met 2 years ago because you actually helped me out with we were a poker player volunteer organization. Basically, we were handing out food for the homeless, and you offered to volunteer, so I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, well, I just it was no problem at all. I'm just great to see someone like you doing that kind of work, and I appreciate you letting me tag along. If you'll recall, I actually missed you at first. Had to catch up to you because I'd wandered off down the strip. Actually, I went to get an ice cream cone at McDonald's, and you'd walk past by the time I got back. But yeah, I appreciate that. And then of course, after we did that, we sat down for an interview, which is in the book here. And Carl, I appreciate your insight, because I wanted to get the take of a Vegas grinder. And so you gave me the perspective of a guy, making a living playing 1-2 and 2-5, because a decade ago I had an idea for a book that I would actually come out here for 6 months to a year, rent a house, an apartment, and kind of grind and see and write about what it was like. And ended up not doing that, of course. But
so what is the book about? Like, what's the premise?
Yeah, well, it's 2016 was a nice round year for me personally and for poker. Now, obviously, everybody knows UIGA past 2006. Online poker started sliding down. Affected live poker, obviously, a great deal. And 2006, I also played in the main event. I'd won a seat online and was able to cash, amend cash. But then I kind of drifted a little bit away from poker, as a lot of people did.
You lost your way. You lost faith.
Yeah. I mean, it was the money.
Yeah. Well,
actually, the money from playing poker was harder to get over the years. Became harder. And then I had some good writing jobs. I was blogging for Party Poker. Started blogging for them in the summer 2006. They had a site called pokerblog.com. Pretty coveted URL, I guess, right? So that went away when Party Poker left the U.S. And so I went to grad school and went on with my life. And I'd met also had met my future wife right before the series 2006, and we hit it off and got engaged, got married the next year. So we kind of went from poker to family life, right?
So at that point, had you ever thought about just playing full time, or was that just were you still gonna have a traditional job?
I had, for the period I left, I had a newspaper job, worked for Tuscaloosa News back in Alabama. Left in 2005, and then actually I did take a year off to basically play poker. I did a little writing.
Okay.
I was actually trying to write a book at that time about traveling the tournament trail, and I actually did travel to a lot of places. Went to Foxwoods, Atlantic City, Reno, Vegas a couple times. Obviously Tunica, of course, that's just down the road for me. So I did that, but I couldn't. At that point, the book market was so deluged with different poker books, and it became hard to sell that book idea. So I did do the traveling and playing the poker, and it was fun, but then I decided kind of to move on, especially after UIGA. Yeah. So 2016, in anticipation, I was thinking, well, this would be a nice 10-year round number. What's poker look like these days? How has UIGA changed things? So I in addition to I basically first of all, the family, we spent the summer out here, and so I played a series of tournaments, and that's in there too. But also interviewed a number of people about how things had changed, like Dan Goldman, he was the marketing guy for Poker Stars. He told me how he had to choose between moving out of the country or staying and then quitting Poker Stars because his father was getting older and it was in poor health, and he was worried he couldn't get back to the country without being arrested. So I talked to him about that. Talked to Kenneth James about how things kind of went downhill for him. I talked to different people about different topics. Obviously, you about grinding. I talked to Andy Block about how he's kind of like me. He's got a little daughter now, so he doesn't want to leave her much. He hardly ever plays tournament outside Las Vegas these days. It's a lot different from the days of the World Poker Tour when traveling all over the place. And Bernard Lee, I talked to him about the charitable aspect of poker, which obviously we touch on that, our visit. So I talked to a number of people about a number of different topics.
Cool. So it's got some different perspectives. And so, what were your biggest takeaways from how it's changed, a decade later since you kind of, since that year you kind of went grinding? What would you say the biggest changes?
Well, the money. I guess the biggest thing is the money is a lot harder to capture. Okay. I talk about how the average player in 2016 could take a time machine back to 2006 and be one of the best players probably pretty easily because the game is advanced. They weren't talking about GTO in 2006.
There's no programs. There wasn't a whole lot of literature probably around that time either.
Yeah, not nearly as much as there is now, especially the training sites that didn't exist back then. Maybe it was.
So people just watched it on ESPN and say, "Oh, I could do that," or played home games. It wasn't as serious. I'm assuming because I wasn't even around back then. So.
Yeah, sure. I was playing a little donk tournament over at the Link. They don't even have the poker room anymore, do they? It was 2 summers ago, and a buddy of mine is like, I told him this was probably about the quality play of 2006 main event. Some of those players, legitimately, there were some players that were on par, and I don't know if they were just had money to burn, they won seats online or what, but yeah, it's definitely a lot tougher.
So do you see that trend continuing? Think it's going to get tougher and tougher? Or
that's a good question. I'm hopeful that it actually will be the opposite, and the big thing is PASPA being overturned. The fact that the states can now legalize sports betting, I think that's going to do wonders for online poker and wonders for live poker. You're going to have a lot of states that are going to legalize sports betting, and poker kind of goes hand in hand with that. So you're going to see some new people get in the game, and hopefully make things actually. The game's a little softer. It'll never be like during the boom. It's not going to be like between 2003 and 2006. I mean, that was a gravy train.
Cool. So you've been playing. When did you start playing poker?
Yeah, I'm one of those guys that played. Here's your stack of pennies. Here's my stack of pennies. Played 5-card draw, but excuse me. I really got into it probably around the time Rounders came out, which I think was '98. I was 22 at the time, so I was street legal for casinos, and we'd go over to a place called Silver Star. It was on the Indian Reservation in Mississippi, about 2 hours from Tuscaloosa, where I lived at the time, and so that's where I kind of cut my teeth playing poker. And then there was underground games. I played at the 3-6 limit, Hold'em at the AmVets in Tuscaloosa against the old guys. Gradually got better and went from there.
Cool. And how about writing? When did you start getting into writing, and when did you start taking that seriously?
I studied journalism in college at University of Alabama. When I was younger, I wanted to be a sports writer, but then it kind of just moved over to general news. And so I graduated in '99, and then I started a series of newspaper jobs, and was in the newspaper industry for about 6 or 7 years, and now I work for websites, Taxpayers Protection Alliance. I do stuff for them, which we get placed in other places. I do stuff for American Spectator. I actually have a poker column, poker/general gambling column that runs every other week on there. And then this is my first book, and I got to figure out what to do next. I figure I'll come up with some other project. I don't know if it'll be poker related or not.
So you said back in 2006 you didn't feel like it was worth it, but what made you change your mind to actually put it there? Because I know it's not easy to the whole process. What was the process like?
As far as like pitching and selling the book, that book.
Or just the whole what was the toughest part, and what made you want to go ahead?
Well, kind of what happened was I talked a little bit about it in the book, not per se about the book proposal, but about the trip to Vegas was. Where I worked, watchdog.org, the funding had kind of dried up and a lot of people lost their jobs. I was worried about losing mine. I was thinking about what other projects could I try to dip my toes into. And I contacted an agent that, I don't know if you know the name Lou Krieger, but he wrote a bunch of books back in the day. He died of cancer about 3 or 4 years ago. But I had met him out here over the years and we kind of become friendly. And I had, actually, when I was trying to pitch this book proposal I had in 2005, 2006, he introduced me to his agent, Sherry Bykowski. And on a lark, I contacted her about I created a proposal for this idea, and I contacted her, and she pitched it to ECW Press in Toronto, who did end up publishing it. But she was actually writing another book for them called The Kaizen of Poker. Kind of like continuous steps for improving your poker game. It actually released a couple weeks ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so
Kaizen of Poker.
Kaizen of Poker.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she sent them the proposal. They loved it, and we went from there.
Awesome. So, anything else you think people should know about this book?
Well, I mean, I guess the old sales pitch, right? You can, you can buy it Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Everywhere your favorite books are sold.
Cool. Well, appreciate your time, and everyone go out and buy Vegas or Bust.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.